Picking a platform for your app is a bit like choosing a city to live in. I live in London. I've got friends here, and for my work, there is no other city I could live in. It's where the jobs are, and it's where the major transport connections are. For my work life, I cannot reasonably live anywhere else, and for my social life, I can't reasonably live anywhere else. But there are some drawbacks to London. I live in an apartment, roughly the size of a shoebox. It is incredibly expensive to live here. The air is polluted, and frankly, it's not actually that nice of a place to live. When I'm picking a city, I can just think about what I need, but if I'm picking a platform for my app, I can't just consider my own needs. I also have to consider others, my users or potential users, and their needs and how they influence my decision. Where do they live? For the city, are you making your app for iOS, for Android, for the web, or all three? Whatever you do, choose wisely, because you will spend a lot of time with that decision, and changing it can mean starting over again. Let's talk about platforms, because my initial idea for this was that I was going to do it all myself, and this was going to be something I was going to code, and I was going to get PhoneGap open like I did a few years ago, and then someone made exactly that face at me and told me I was several years out of date. How do we pick a platform for this?
The majority, I think, of mobile users are using either Android or iOS. And it depends who you want your target audience to be. That's probably the key thing you should consider. Are the people who you want to be using your app going to be able to use your app?
The last app I worked on, we went iOS first, and that was good because it meant a lot of media talked about us, but then I just got so many angry emails from Android users. Like, ideally, we'd do both, but I think that's going to be crazy expensive and time consuming for something that's just a basic sketch of an idea right now.
Maybe this time you can get your angry emails from the iOS users.
Yeah, but if I'm going for one or the other?
Well, for our minimum viable product, just to test it out, I think we should go for Android because it would be cheaper and easier. Because for starters, I know how to build it.
And if we want to test it, I guess you can, like if you turn the security settings off on the phone, you can basically just email it to someone?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We don't want to blanket advise people to turn off their settings.
No, that's about it. But like, if we don't need everyone to be on this complicated Apple ecosystem.
No, it's as simple as emailing you a file and you can download it on your phone.
Without making too many enemies on the internet, why do you prefer coding for Android?
Well, to be honest, I'm just more familiar with it. I came quite a classic route into it with a computing degree, which focused on Java. So it was quite a natural progression into Android for me. And then my experience as an Android developer has been just really nice. The Android community is very nice. Everyone is very helpful. Android as an ecosystem is very open.
And also the series is sponsored by Google.
And we're sponsored by Google.
So we started on iPhone first because it is, I think, easier to develop for iPhone because there's only like a few different models of iPhone, whereas there's literally thousands of Android phones. And also, like, people spend more money on iOS apps. You know, like it's just, for whatever reason, it's just the truth. When we were doing the Kickstarter, lots and lots of people told us, you must launch on Android and please do it as soon as possible. So we decided to move that up.
There is information in Google Play that you do not get in Apple around kind of size of apps and how many installs and those sorts of things. So I think they both have their own merits.
Android tends to be a little bit more populist, a little bit more younger, higher volumes of users. Gaming on Android is a big thing. Younger apps, or apps based on maybe a late teen or 20s, focus on Android. However, if you're more focused on sort of top end design, I'd say focus on iOS.
I really like Dark Sky. It's a weather forecasting app, and basically it tells you if it's going to rain within the next hour. I live in Edinburgh, and it's very changeable weather, and I want to go out running every day, and so I need to find like a 40-minute window, and it's really well designed in how it shows you when that's going to happen.
My favourite app is City Mapper. So City Mapper, for your viewers that don't know, allows you to get around a city in whatever whatever mode of transport you want.
I only use one app on my phone, and that's WhatsApp. And it solves the problem of being an immigrant to a certain degree, because I can be in touch with my family quite easily and share pictures of my baby with my parents.
Now we know we're going for Android, I guess we've got to work out what it's coded in. I know that's your call, your decision, everything like that. I remember years ago doing this stuff, building an app, and it was in PhoneGap because it just let us build a website and we hit a button and that magically got packaged as an app somehow. I guess the descendant of PhoneGap is like progressive web apps. Progressive web apps are basically just websites with a lot of extra optional stuff. The first time you go to them, you type the address into your browser or you follow a link just like any other website, but then you can choose to install that site on your device with the help of some extra code behind the scenes. Once you've done that, that site can store data offline. It can access some of the sensors on your phone, and it can behave a bit like a regular app, complete with an icon. In other words, it's halfway between website and app. But there are some downsides. The technology isn't quite complete yet. Yes, they work on iOS and on Android together, but you can't give them permission to access your contacts. There's no access to the fingerprint scanner or the face scanner for security. As for whether you should use them, well, I should call a friend.
The joy of the progressive web app is that sort of ease of building it. You know, once you've got a website, you add so the extra bit of JavaScript that you need is called a service worker, which is what allows you to do the offline. You add your manifest, which is what allows you to add icons and do things like hide the browser Chrome, which is the UI parts of the browser, so things like the URL bar and the back buttons.
What are the downsides then? Because clearly not everyone's doing this. Like Facebook still has a native app, Twitter still has a native app, and much as I'd love to just go to Twitter on my phone and hit a button, like it feels like it's not quite there yet.
So there's two sort of major downsides, which is that the support for notifications is still not there in Safari.
So Android does work with notifications for PWAs?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Chrome supports it, Samsung Internet supports it, Internet Explorer supports it.
I know this is a joke from 5 years ago, but I'm amazed Internet Explorer supports anything.
I don't want to say it, but is Safari becoming the new Internet Explorer?
Right, okay.
So the other downside is that if you want to write sort of very powerful code, so something that's going to be using an awful lot of the phone's processor, then maybe a native app is going to be better for you because it's essentially it's running off the device rather than running through the browser. So the code is written to run off the device, therefore you will have a little bit of extra oomph there.
I guess it's not native to the phone yet. What other stuff's missing?
The things that are missing are the things that are highly security related that perhaps one might argue shouldn't be in the browser anyway. So things like access to your contacts list or access to your fingerprint sensor, those are things that the web doesn't have access to yet and probably maybe shouldn't ever.
The location of the device is what we're using, right? So is there any reason why it would be harder to get the location of the device?
No, that's absolutely available in the web. There's a whole load of progressive web apps that are using that at the moment, Uber being one of the big examples.
Can you do background location with PWAs?
We can't do geofencing yet. It is one of the things that is being looked at by the spec designers as far as I am aware, but not yet in PWAs.
It's up to you. You're the coder. You know what you prefer to use.
I think they sound really good and they probably could give us the function that they need, but maybe let's stick with Android for now.
Because if we find a feature that they don't have that we do need,
like geofences, for example,
we need to make everything over again.
Android it is.
So what have we learned? Well, first of all, when you're choosing which platforms to develop for, think about your target audience. What devices or platforms are they using? Second, research what you need to do to publish on each of those platforms. Before you make a decision, get to know the process of developing and publishing on each of the platforms you're going to use. Remember, it's a bit like choosing a city to live in, so take some time to really understand what it's going to be like for your app to live on that platform long term. You are going to spend a lot of time working there, so make sure you know as much as you can about it. Choose wisely. Next time, where do you find your first users?